your father is an international banker, you ride in a private railroad car, and live in a mansion, then you are not likely to lead that luxury and take a stand against poverty. St. Katharine Drexel did just that. Born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on November 26, 1858, Katharine Drexel was the niece of the founder of Drexel University and the second daughter of Francis Anthony Drexel, a business partner of financier J.P. Morgan. Her mother, Hannah Jane, died 2 months after her birth. 2 years later, her father remarried to Emma Bouvier. Emma was a devoted mother, not only to her own daughter, Louisa, but also to her two stepdaughters, Catherine and Elizabeth Drexel. Katharine Drexel was raised by a wealthy family in Philadelphia. Sister Joan, a nun at the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament, stated that not only were her parents well known for their wealth, but to their great donations to the poor. Both parents taught their children by word and example that their wealth was simply loaned to them and was to be donated to the poor and ill. As a family, the Drexels were practicing Catholics. Often after work, Mr. Drexel would go into their house's library to read the Bible and pray. Mother Catherine was raised as a young heiress and was educated privately at home. She traveled widely in the United States and several times to Europe. In 1883, her stepmother died. In 1885, her father died, so each of their daughters inherited millions of dollars. Katharine Drexel suffered depression and anxiety when she was just 25 years old. She did not know what to do with her money. She decided she would go to Rome with her two sisters and have a nice relaxing vacation. Later, during an audience with Pope Leo XIII, she asked him to recommend a religious congregation to staff the institutions which she was financing. The Pope responded, quote, "Why not you, my child, become a missionary?" After that message from Pope Leo XIII, she ran out of the church and sobbed. Pope Leo had obviously struck a nerve. She began her training in religious life with the Sisters of Mercy at Pittsburgh. In 1891, after 3.5 years of training, Mother Catherine stood up and took her place in history by starting the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament. The Order of the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament devoted their lives to helping Native Americans and colored people. The title of the community summed up the two great driving forces in her life: devotion to the Eucharist, or Blessed Sacrament, and love for the most deprived people in her country. Requests for help reached Mother Catherine from various parts of the United States. The most famous foundation was made in 1915. It was by Xavier University in New Orleans. After she founded the missionary, she and the nuns from the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament opened up a school for colored people in 1894 in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Later after that, she opened up many schools for them all over the country, including one in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Katharine Drexel chose to start one of her schools in Cumberland County, Pennsylvania. The Carlisle Army Post had several decades been used to house and school Indian youth. The Native Americans that came to Carlisle were not treated with dignity. Katharine Drexel used her resources to build a convent and school in central Pennsylvania. The wealthy heiress was a determined woman when dealing with local authorities in the segregated South. People thought a sweet nun could never defeat segregation, but she was able to because of her strong faith. The nuns knew that it was not going to be easy trying to educate blacks. Drexel commanded that the order's churches in the South, instead of customary roped-off section in the rear for blacks, would have two long pews running front to back for the races. This tactic kept the sisters within the letter of local segregation laws and protected the schools from closure while refusing to obey their racist spirit. She also used dummy corporation and other legal shell games to hide her land purchases until the schools were too settled for local authorities to close. Nonetheless, there were regular conflicts with discrimination. The Order's mother house in Bentham, Pennsylvania, received a bomb threat when it was under construction. An Order school in Rockcastle, Virginia was destroyed by arson in 1899, and the Ku Klux Klan threatened the same for another in Texas in 1922. The nuns prayed, and days later a tornado came and destroyed the headquarters of the KKK, killing 2 members. The sisters were never threatened again. While all this was happening, she remained calm and still taught the schools within the state. Katharine's travels and work continued until 1938, when a stroke left her almost completely immobile and forced her to give up leadership of the sisters. Because she died without an issue, the corpus of her father's estate passed not to the order she founded, but to various charitable and religious institutions designated in his will. In January 2000, Pope John Paul declared that a girl from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, had been cured of a lifelong deafness by the intercession of Katharine Drexel. Later that year, in a ceremony in St. Peter's Square, the Pope canonized Drexel, the second native-born American to be named a saint. Upon her canonization, St. Katharine Drexel's uncle's university, which had educated the earliest members of her order, offered the formerly deaf girl and her siblings full scholarships.
Yeah, hello, I'm Bob. I'm an honor guard here at St. Katharine Drexel Shrine. Me and my wife come every second and fourth Saturday of the month, and we come in Thanksgiving because my wife had a healing from ovarian cancer over 20 years ago, and she didn't have any chemotherapy or anything. She's fine. And what happened was a friend of ours was a priest, and he took her here to the shrine, and she was upstairs, and the priest that took her, he knew some of the nuns here. In fact, they grew up on the same street. You believe that? And at the time, they were redoing the whole crypt down here. And one of the nuns pulled my wife aside and brought her down here, and it was all plaster and everything. And she prayed with her, and my wife had ovarian cancer, and she had 3 opinions, and the one doctor that operated on her, he operated on her over at Tarsdale Frankfurt Hospital at the time, and that used to be St. Katharine Drexel Summer Home.
The lavish ceremony would likely have pained Katharine Drexel, servant of the poor, whose only request when Xavier University was founded that the school make no mention of her legacy, and who, at the college dedication, sat in the back of the room quiet and unnoticed. Katharine Drexel is a patron saint of racial justice and philanthropist. Her feast day is March 3rd, the anniversary of her death. St. Katharine Drexel became a saint because she is an example of how we use our gifts and resources to take a stand and ensure dignity for all people.